What's up, my friends at Group Coach Nation? I got JR Rivera with me today, and JR and I have been hanging out for a few months now. And I asked him here for two reasons. One, because he does an enormous amount of good for people who are like in business, they're an expert, you know what you're doing, but you want to figure out podcasting. That's his world. If you already got a podcast and you've already got bad habits and you're doing things wrong, don't call him and mess his time up. This is for people who want to do it right. Okay. If you're also, the reason that this is good timing though is because when we're recording this, it's early in the year. Now, if you're re-listening to this and it's early in the quarter or early in the month and it's middle of a year somewhere, and it could be 3 years from now, it doesn't matter, because JR is so focused on actually figuring out how to get results personally and professionally. There's lots of tools you can use for that, but ultimately it's around life change and actually making real strategic decisions that impact who you are, where you want to go, and what you want to become as a human. And that's way more important than how successful your podcast is or your mastermind or whatever else we're talking about, because that stuff is what drives the real success of who you are as a person. And that's why we're doing this, right? So JR, dude, thanks for showing up, man. Like, totally appreciate you spending time and like advising us today.
Bro, thank you for having me on. I'm excited. I'm nervous, and I'm in your hands. You tell me where to go, and I'll do my best to deliver for Group Coach Nation.
Okay. You're nervous as a professional podcaster, whatever. We're all camera and microphone hogs here. All right, dude. So let's just go down this before we get into, I have a few podcasting questions, but before we go down that path, let's lay a better foundation. I want to know, like, and I don't know the answer to these questions. Why are you, by the way, folks, for you listening in, at our show, we don't have pre-prepared questions for our guests. We just like truly have real conversations. So if y'all have questions, we're live a lot of times. Y'all can ping your questions in if you're live. If not, chat them up below and we'll tag us or JR in this case or whoever, and like we'll get you real answers. So JR, kind of take us down a level deeper. I don't mean in your past, you go wherever you want to, but why is that personal and professional development thing and real meaningful growth so important to you? Because most people focus on the product or service and they forget about themselves. Like, why is that your thing?
I had a coach one time tell me to be more selfish, and I was like, "What? Be more selfish? What do you mean?" But uh, the more I listened to him, the more I realized he was right. And taking care of myself, I can take better care of the people around me, and that's my family, that's my clients, that's all the people I serve. And so I think we've all heard the saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so I have had people close to me go early. My mom died early. I've had friends die early. And I realized that that little bit of time they had in this world is almost insignificant. And it troubles me. It troubles me deeply to think about what's left other than a memory or two, a picture or two. What's left? It's whatever we carry with us. And I just don't feel like that's enough. And so that's why I put myself out here. That's why I write articles. That's why I record podcasts. That's why I help my clients get their messages out into the world, because I know that every time we do this, every time we have a conversation, every time we meet up with new people, we share ideas, that the people listening to us are going to be affected. The people that are listening are going to be changed, and hopefully for the better, hopefully improved. And that's my whole life's mission. I can sum it up for you quite simply. The right words from the right person at the right time can change your life. And we're doing this every single day as part of our work. You're doing this in Group Coach Nation. When you meet up with your people, you give them the little insight that they're like, why didn't I think of that? And now they have a whole new life just because of a word you said at the right time. And so that's kind of where I'm living, and it all ties into personal growth.
I really love that. I'm going to go back to that quote. That's a really good quote. The right person with the right message at the right time. I guess you could swap those however you want to. It's so important, I think, for us as partners, as spouses, as parents, as neighbors, as business people. We so often think that our message isn't worthy of someone else's time and attention, which it totally is, or we try to cram that down everyone's ears all at the same time. And we're all confused of why they didn't resonate with it because it wasn't the right time for them. But I love that being the right person and being available in real time with a really good message. And the people who are ready for that will resonate and be drawn in. I found that so true in my own life. And in some ways, Jared, I don't know if you coach this way or not, but like the less I try to force that, the better it works. Like it doesn't get icky that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had the good benefit to speak with thousands of experts at this point, and that's one of the things that we learned early on is, I mean, we want to help. I know that you want to help your clients. I want to help my clients. Sometimes the best way to help is to ask a question and get out of the way and let them figure it out. And I think that's what you're talking about is like, I can't force my will. I can tell you a story of a thing that happened to me or somebody else and let you draw a conclusion. Hello, what do we do with podcasting, right? But I can't help you. I can't make the decisions for you. And if I do tell you, hey, you ought to do it this way, you might not get the outcome and you might not buy into it. And so is it really worth it? So I'm with you, leading, inspiring, but I can't make you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk life design a little bit because I'm really focused on that in my professional development as I've grown different businesses. They've typically been lifestyle oriented businesses, and I've kind of made myself feel bad about that a few times.
How do you mean?
Because, well, okay, so I have a lot of Jill and I have 5 kids, and we've been able to travel a lot with them and play a lot with them. And my 20-year-old daughter and I were out for a walk yesterday evening at like, I guess, afternoon, 3:00 in the afternoon. And she was like, we were talking about what we're grateful for. I know it sounds so deep. Like we just have these amazingly meaningful conversations. Whatever. And I was like, she went first. And then I was like, I'm grateful for just time to just go on a walk around the neighborhood with Allie, my daughter. And like, that's super meaningful to me. I prefer that over, honestly, I enjoy that 45 minutes more than I enjoy a stage speaking gig, even though I get more pats on the back for a stage speaking gig. I'll just say, sometimes I shame myself into not pursuing that big, I'm going to be the biggest, best in the world at this. But I don't know, man. Like it's such a torn experience for me as a entrepreneur because I'm driven to accomplish in business, but I'm also driven to reach the people that are near and dear to me and in my family and my community. It's hard to balance that.
I don't think there is a balance. I think if you're looking for balance, you're going to be sorely disappointed. I
Mm.
had a friend tell me that work life balance was a myth, and we recorded a podcast on that many years ago. What she believed was in work life harmony. I mean, because if you're listening to music and it's all the same note, that's balance. But is it music? No, it's just the same note playing over and over again. It's monotonous. It's not beautiful. What we strive for is work-life harmony, and there are going to be those times where you're pushing in one area and another area suffers because that's just the way it is. And what we have to do is be the conductor and say, all right, now I need another note. I need something different. And so what we always strive for is the harmony. But I'm with you in that I have lost loved ones too soon. And it's, I mean, it's heartbreaking to see them go. And then you start questioning everything you're doing. And to me, everything that we built, because I work with my wife in this business, I call her Cupcake. And she and I work together in this business, and we own other businesses together. But we were sitting here designing our life before our child arrived. We were working and plotting and planning and putting in the sweat so that we can take the kid to school every day. We can do homework every night. We can take a week off or a month off or whatever we need to do. But I believe that the greatest mistake that most of us entrepreneurs make, one caveat, the ones that care about their families, right? Some guys just do not care about their families. They just care about success. So us family guys that care about that is putting that spot in the calendar Like my morning calendar, if I had my journal right here, you would see that in the morning I have the time that I'm hanging out with my son and taking him to school, the breakfast I'm going to have with my wife. I put all those things in my calendar first, and then I build my day around them. The reason that you and I are talking at, I mean, almost 11 a.m. is because I'm not working before 11 a.m. I'm getting my workout. I'm getting my breakfast. I'm getting my faith. I'm getting my family time. I'm doing all that so that I can show up for you, selfishly show up for you prepared, because I've already put into myself for the day. And that's where the be more selfish thing came in. Hey, charge yourself up so that when you show up 100%. I think that's a mistake that a lot of us make.
Oh, I love that you're pinpointing that. Everybody like listening in, you guys just own that spot for yourself for a minute. Like, it's funny, JR. I literally just got done with my workout and then hanging out at Starbucks with a friend. This is the first thing on my calendar today. Yeah, yay. We should be
I
neighbors.
know how you roll. I already know how you roll. Your calendar's tight, and I admire that about you.
I think it's interesting to me. The more I control my calendar, the tighter it gets. Meaning, and when we say tight, we don't mean like it's 80-hour weeks. We mean like, no, it's like I get to work at 10 today and I'll be totally done by 2 o'clock today, because I want to go all in when I'm here and then I want to get out of there. The more free time I have, the more successful we are as a company. I think that's so bizarre to me. It was Tim Ferriss in 4 Hour Work Week that I first got that concept from. Actually, it was a guy named Wayne Cotton. Oh my gosh, this is way back. Wayne Cotton. So I used to sell insurance. He was an insurance sales guy, and he worked like it was like 6 days a year. He like put Tim Ferriss to shame. He's before Tim Ferriss. And he was some super old dude, and I was watching like VHS tapes because the only you could buy was like you had to find VHS tapes. So I had to find a VHS tape player, because who has that? And watch this stuff. And he was like life designed the heck out of everything. So he's 6 days a year working, making $1.5 million a year or something like that. So fascinating. And it gave me a vision for, okay, I think he would say this: the less you work, the more strategic you become. And the harder the decisions get. But it's a very few decisions that are very impactful. And I'm like loving that for the past decade.
I'm with that, man. In fact, I'm working with a new mentor, and he pushed me again, because I've been pushed like this before and I let it go, and I suffered when I let it go. But he said, mandatory, get it on your calendar before we start the year, 150 days off. I was like, oh, really? And then I'm thinking, I'm not really happy right now with all the work I'm doing. So what am I complaining about? So we started planning the days off. And this, I remember learning it in Strategic Coach as well with Dan Sullivan, was the same thing, the entrepreneur's calendar. And in it, he talks about focus days, buffer days, and free days. And us as, we're the visionaries of our company. The company wouldn't be here if we didn't create it out of our mind and put the pieces together. We're the visionaries. We're the leaders of these companies. And what happens is when we have time off, our creativity spikes. And then boom, right there, right after time off, we are going to have the best ideas, the most energy. We're going to be our brightest, and we're going to bring that to work. But what happens is we start sloping down the more we work, and then we just start getting into reactive mode. So that's why Dan Sullivan says, all right, take more time off, because then you can keep getting that spike and engineering that spike more often. And we've heard it many different ways, but that time off recharges us. I mean, how many times, I don't know if it's happened to you. I know it's happened to me. Long day, get in the shower, hot shower, chilling out, just sitting there enjoying it. Boom, one of the best ideas I've had all day. And I'm like, I got to write that. That's what happens is when we're disconnected, those ideas surface. And so if we can engineer our calendar so that we have more time off, more of those great ideas come to us more readily.
Oh, dude, so love this. Just take away for everybody listening. Let's make this practical. So here's what you do. Go Google, or get your Google Calendar out, or better yet, get a spreadsheet. Go Google like annual calendar spreadsheet. There's tons of them out there. And mark the days that you want to have off. Like, it's so funny you say that, dude. I do this every December. I mark out the entire next year, all the days we're going to have off. We mark those in yellow. We have 4 colors. Yellow for free days. We mark it out. If it's right now when you listen to this, it's in the middle of the year, fine. Just like freaking mark, go do it. Go do the work. Mark the days that you want to have off. Then mark the days that are going to be like administrative, I got to get stuff done, team meetings or workflow things that aren't making you money, but they have to be done. And then mark any strategic planning days. Like once a quarter, my team and I have a strategic planning day. Mark those off. You got to sharpen saw. Those are blue days, by the way. The red days are administrative days. We just fill in the cells in this little, Google spreadsheet calendar thing. And then what's left are the open days. Those are going to be green days. Couple of Mondays, couple of Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Friday, wherever they fit. Whatever's left is what you freaking got to work with. That's where you go make your money. That's where the sales calls happen. That's where the podcasts happen. That's where the conferences are going to happen. Like, get it in there and build a plan to accomplish your goals financially inside what's left. Because you can do that. The world we live in now, you can scale your income completely separately than your hours. So disconnect, uncouple that train, and do it. I know there's a whole lot. Well, what do I do next, Chris? I get there's a whole lot there, but start there. Like, just start there. Get a vision for it.
At least know it's possible. That's the thing.
It is
Like,
so
there's a lot of
possible.
people doing it. So why can't you? There's no excuse.
It really isn't. I mean, I know that, JR, I know you're smarter than me. And yet I know that the two of us aren't the smartest guys out here in the podcasting or coaching space. And we're doing it. I'm just saying, like, we're just regular guys who were probably taught the wrong way to do it early on in corporate or in college or in whatever. Like, you can change your life. Go do it.
100%.
Okay, can we talk podcasting for a second?
If you want. I like this stuff, but I'll talk about it.
I'm having fun with this. The reason I want to talk podcasting is not, can you tell us what microphone and camera you use? Come on. I want to know, here's the thing. Like, I have a great team around me. So when we podcast like this right here, this literally doesn't take any of my time. All the time I spend is what we're doing right here. But for a lot of people, they're running a business, they're consulting, they do whatever they do, and they want to start getting their information out there. How do you help them? They might not have a team to do it either. How do you help them do the podcasting thing without it messing up the lifestyle we're talking about? Because a lot of people start jumping in and there they are. They're spending 20 hours a week trying to launch one episode a week. And that's the worst thing ever, right? That's a losing proposition for everybody, by the way. Don't go do this yourself and think you're about to make money, because that's not how it works. Like, get a plan, work a system.
I think that most of the greatest innovations have come from solving our own problems. And that's one of the things I teach our son is get good at solving problems. I don't care what you do. You don't need a college education if you don't want one. You don't need to go to school. I don't care what it is. Just get good at spotting problems, finding solutions to those problems, and then offering it to the people who need help. And that's pretty much how this all started for me, because I did exactly as you said. I was doing a podcast all on my own. 1.5 hour episode took me about 4 to 5 hours a week. It was such a grind and I hated it. And I started looking at, if I'm going to do this, what are the pieces I need to make it fun? Like right now, this is the fun part. The fun part is the actual making of the show, the recording. The rest of it, not so much. And so I started building a team. I got an audio engineer, and then I got writers, and then I got admin people. And before I knew it, other folks were asking me, and this is how you and I don't think ever talked about how the podcast factory became a thing, but I was in a mastermind, my first high-level mastermind. I had a real estate training business. I was training agents how to get listings, how to get referrals, how to manage their time. And I had a podcast to promote that business. And on every break, people would be like, hey, I heard your podcast, or you're podcasting with this person, or I heard, how are you doing that? Nobody cared about real estate at that time. It wasn't as hot as it is now. All they cared about was podcasting. And inside of that mastermind, Cupcake and I realized maybe the opportunity is actually the podcasting and not this real estate training business. So we ended up shutting down the real estate training business and opening up the podcast factory for hire around 2015 because of a mastermind, because of being around peers, because of listening to a problem that was happening around us from high-level people who were willing to pay us for that problem. So, I mean, first things first is get yourself a team. Get yourself a team if you want to do this right, just like you have a team. Number two is make sure that it aligns with your purpose. And number three, make all that align with your phone so that you're closing deals.
Oh, I love every bit of that. I'm going to work that backwards just so everybody caught onto that. Make sure it freaking aligns with your phone or your Zoom calendar or whatever. If you're going into the beginning of this process using podcasting as a marketing piece, if it's not designed to get people on the sales calendar or your funnel landing page or whatever, like in a for real way, then it's not sustainable. That's a bad business move. Unless you just have a passion project and you really want to talk about ukuleles a lot. Cool. But if it's for business, then do it for the right reason, which is where's the profit line going to end up? Like, where's it going to be? And then that people side of it, I mean, you guys, okay, everybody listening, if you're going to do this, like, just, I'm telling you, go hire somebody. Like, I mean, this plug here, I'm not getting a commission from JR. Go hire JR's company. There's lots of great companies out there. JR is a good one. Resultleader.fm right there on your screen. I think that reroutes you actually to the podcast factory also.
Yeah.
You can listen to this podcast. You can see the quality stuff's going on. But at least get started with a legit team who can set it up for you the right way and get the bottom line met. And then if you decide someday you want to go down having your own team in-house to do it, great, have fun. But I used to do the same thing. I used to be half day to a full day of me figuring out every episode every week. And there was just no money there. No, it was ruining the lifestyle I had built that I was trying to sort out and talk about. I'm glad we started this whole conversation with lifestyle, because that's really the point of a lot of things that we're doing.
Yeah, it's painful, man. I mean, and so a couple tips, practical tips. I mean, if you are looking to do it yourself, is number one. I mean, the way that we do this is putting together the pieces. It's reverse engineering. Who are we talking to? We have a process called the client cloner, and basically get your message crystal clear to the people that you want to talk to. And then what's going to happen is those people are you're going to tune into you, and you got to figure out, what are we saying to them? But the only way we know what to say to them is by figuring out what we want them to do, whether it's go to our landing page, whether it's buy our book, whether it's book a call. We got to figure that out. So that's the client matrix. Now you got the client cloner. So who are we talking to? Where do we want them to go? And in the middle, you have the content vault. What are the things that we need to say to them to get them moving over the line? So instead of just recording what you want about ukuleles, it's like, here are the right strings. Here's how to tune it. Here's how to play your first song, like taking them through steps so that then they eventually say, I've learned, now I want to learn more. Let me get on your calendar, or let me buy your product or whatever. But I say that any dummy with a smartphone can start a podcast, right? I mean, you can just record it and upload it. But the fact is that you want to be strategic about, how does this asset fit into your business? And even more so, how does your business feed your lifestyle? So all these pieces have to be in line for you. In my way of doing things, I'm not saying it's right for everybody, but all these pieces have to be in line. Otherwise, you're going to be incongruent, unhappy, and it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. I want to take just a lesson from your playbook here, JR, because you're so specific on what you do. Like, you got this piece of the expert's journey and how they tell their story to get leads and get conversions. That's your thing. All of you, like, listening and watching this right now, just take a moment and think about this, Group Coach Nation. Think about, what are you an expert at? Like, what's your piece of the puzzle in the world you serve? You don't have to own 10 pieces of the puzzle. In fact, you probably shouldn't. Own one piece and do it really, really well, and make that your thing. If podcasting is your thing, then don't call JR, obviously. If podcasting is not your thing, for me, for instance, we teach experts how to do masterminds. Podcasting is not my jam. We do it because it's a great way to generate leads and get your message out there, but that's why I don't personally handle it. So find out what your jam is and how you handle and like serve the world profitably, and just go all in on that and hand off the other pieces that are aligned with your strategic plan. Otherwise, you'll just kind of peter along for a long time and you won't really like win big. You got to laser it in. So great example of that, JR. You've owned the spot, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, okay, so we got to go in a minute, but obviously we all want to know, what is you call your wife Cupcake at work on podcast? If she was on the show right now referring to you, what does she call you?
Poppy.
Poppy and Cupcake. No kidding. That's awesome. So she calls you Poppy in public?
Around here, maybe around the family and stuff. I don't know if in public.
But you call her Cupcake in public, like not just today.
That's her name, man. That's part of a story, right? And so the way that came about is I write daily emails, or I used to write daily emails. And the guy that I was working with, the mentor, said that you got to create your own world. You got to create your own characters, and you got to give your characters names. So we named her Cupcake. And I mean, people have met her in conferences and, oh, you're Cupcake. That's not your real name. Oh,
Your mom didn't name you that?
yeah, it's part of the game, right? Telling a story and getting people. That's what we do. We tell stories and then bring people into the story.
I love that. That's great. Okay, well, say hi to Cupcake.
Will do.
Okay, dude, like, for real, thanks for doing this. Thanks for like talking real stuff that matters, that's about our lifestyle. If you're jumping in on this late and you didn't catch the first half of this, honestly, the first half of this is where it's at. Just go get your life straightened out. Some really helpful tips and tricks on how to do that. Get your calendar organized, like know what you're good at. We talk about knowing your expertise and then building a profitable business that's scalable, from scalable lead gen, scalable sales, scalable delivery, right? That's how we teach the mastermind and group coaching model. That's why I do mastermind and group coaching model, because it's scalable in all three of those. Podcasting is such a big spot of that. Thanks, JR, for talking about that. But all of those things we do because of the connection to what we want in our real lives. So, JR, thanks for being open and honest about that, truly.
Brother, I appreciate you allowing me to come hang out with Group Coach Nation. I always enjoy speaking with you, and I hope that our listeners have enjoyed this. If we have, you guys got to subscribe to this show, give it a rating, tell him you tell Chris, hey, love JR, have him back.
Don't just give it a rating. I mean, give it a 5-star. Come on, it's got to be a 5-star.
I like the 1-stars sometimes. They're fun. Give us a 1-star. We'll have something to talk about.
It's all JR's fault. Resultsleader.fm is JR's home base. Go there to find all things JR, all the podcasty stuff. He talks about his lifestyle and stuff and all that too. Like, listen to his podcast. It's really cool. And yeah, go check out JR. JR, like, truly, thanks for being in our community. Thanks for like being here in our Facebook group and on our podcast and our YouTube channel, all the places you are hanging out with us like right now. We really love it. Dude,
thanks, brother.
You're a rock star, man. I can't thank you enough. I keep saying that, but it's true. I think the real conversations that we get into are the ones that matter. The tips and tricks, you can Google that stuff. This is the stuff that matters.
Thanks.
All right, bud. Group Coach Nation, as always, do work to get results. Just please do the right work. Don't get tangled up with the shiny stuff. If podcasting is in your future and you know it's part of a plan you want to run, you have questions, ask JR. If building a mastermind is your thing, ask us. If one-on-one coaching or consulting or doing a service industry is your thing, lean in, ask us questions. We'll point to somebody who's an expert on that. You got to freaking do the work to get the results. So get out there and execute. All right, guys. Talk soon.